Hey, I just finished my antique letters folio and I added this pretty gossamer bow to the front of it. It's kind of like iridescent and I just love the elegance of it. It kind of elevates the whole thing. So let me open this up and walk you through it. As you can see, it's got double doors. These pretty ones on the outside and then some inner doors. And when you open it inside, right away you see we have this stacked letter feature. These are supposed to be antique letters that are, casually tied together and adorned with crochet lace. And that serves as a pocket, and inside I made some tags. This one's pretty cool. It has doily on it, and then I cut out this rose and added this and this pretty twine, and then stamped it up with my French sayings stencil. Then I had this scrap, so I made a little booklet out of it, stitched around it, added a little belly band with this Victorian lady on the inside. And then I tucked this in. Has a doily and just been adorned a little bit. And then you can see the doors on either side are adorned with pockets. And then they have little tucky things in them. This is sweet, kind of a little letter. Here's a tag. All of them have a little stitching on them. And I don't know if the camera shows it, but they've been glossed up with a little bit of frost, just for glamour. There's some vintage lace here at the top and a sweet little pearl. This one has a flower at the top and some more of that vintage lace. I love this balloon. Isn't that cute? It's been stitched around. St. Paul's, I wonder what that is, a reference to a hotel or something. Not sure. So let me close this up and I can show you the back side. The back is kind of a policy flap, upper and lower. And if you're interested in seeing how to make this folio, I have a tutorial that follows immediately after for those that like the details. So there's some beautiful flaps with two different roses. This is a policy closure. And we open it up and reveal this beautiful paper. This is a tuck spot at the bottom. And it has a little squatty tag on the inside. Here's a sweet little tag with some little doodads. It is the Eiffel Tower. It has a little sheen on it. This is sort of a triple threat. It's all kind of monochromatic with French writings to represent letters. Here's another one I made and added a stamp to it with a little brad and some vintage lace. There's a little sign back there. Also adorned with some doily. More French writing on the back. And I think this is beautiful enough as it is, so it's just unadorned. And this features one of those disappearing pockets that I go into a little bit in the tutorial. So, isn't she pretty? Thanks for letting me share. These are the digitals I'm going to use for my antique letters folio. I've printed them out onto 80-pound cardstock, but 67 or 65 would work great, even 44 if you like something a little bit more lightweight. On the backs, I've selected some background paper from my personal stash. It's got a lot of pink and brown in it. This kit comes with a background paper, but I want to introduce a little pink to it. So this will be the base, and the base will look like this. I've started making this papery prototype so I can work with it. It's going to be 7 inches tall and 5.5 inches wide. Then I have selected this for the first set of doors. So the doors will look like this. These are the inner doors. I'll cut 2 of them and they'll go like that. Now, this is actually an envelope, but I'm going to use this as outer doors, and when I cut them out, they'll look like this. I'll just trace it, cut it out, then make a second one like that, so I'll have two of them. So it goes like this. Here is the base. Here are the inner doors, and the outer doors go like this. One here and one there. Isn't this beautiful? I'm going to use these two pictures here as kind of flap doors where you use like a policy closure, and I'm going to put it on the back side of the base. So let's pretend that this is the back side of the base, and here are my prototypes kind of sized down to fit. So one gets glued at the top, one gets glued at the bottom, and then we add some kind of a closure to it. I printed this out because it's such a pretty lacy piece of paper. I think it'll make a wonderful pocket. Ditto for this. I'm thinking maybe some bookmarks. These could even be the policy closure buttons. For some pockets, some pretty ephemera, and more ephemera. So that's how it's shaping up. So I'm going to show you how I cut those outer doors, the scalloped ones. This is that envelope that I'm using for the doors, and I've already cut the first one off, as you can see. Has this little gusset here, so it's gluable. And this is for the right door. Here's the right door. It's going to be going on like that. So we need one for the left door, and we don't want it to be upside down. We want it to be the right way, so here's what you do. You take the rest of this digital and you use it and use this, which was like this, as a template by just turning it over. So sit it down like this, line it up here so it's even. You can tape it with some temporary tape if you want to. I keep some around for that kind of stuff. And then trace around, then remove it. So now when I cut this out, I'll have my left side door with the gusset built in, and it will fit over this side. Hope that's clear. I'm about to do some gluing now. This is the base. I think this will be the back side. I'm going to keep this the inside. I like that soft pink color. And as a refresher, the outside door gets glued on first, right like this. And then the inner door gets glued after that. So they end up like this. Then I do the other side. I'm not sure if you need to watch me glue. So my doors are glued on now. Came out pretty close. If you find that it doesn't quite match up, it's not too late to do a little trimming. I don't see anything really hanging out. Right here, if you look right here, there's a little bit of an edge right there I could trim off if I feel like I'm in a fussy mood. This is a card that will stand up once it's presented. So the next thing I'm going to do is those flaps on the back. And if you recall, they look like this, two-sided. It's folded over here just like a 1/4 of an inch hinge. So I'll be gluing it at the top, and then this one at the bottom like that. And before I glue down, I'm going to think about whether or not I want to go ahead and put my policy closures on first and then do that. So let me think about that while this is drying. I want to show you how I'm going to add my policy closures to these flaps, and it occurs to me that I do it different every time. So this is an experiment. What I've done is taped it down with my temporary tape, using this ruler on the side as a guideline, because I know that my folio is approximately 7 inches tall and 5.5 wide. So if I'm going to center, I'm going to have to figure out half of 5.5, which is 2 3/4. So if I just place it right up here so that I can get about the width of the ruler down, and then find 1, 2 3/4, it's right here, right where that 7 is. So just make a little hole so I can see it on the top, but not go all the way through it. All right, so I can see that. And we'll do the same thing here. We'll get this lined up so that we have the approximate, gosh, I can't see. There we go. Now, every time I touch it, it moves a little bit. Okay, so 1, 2 3/4 would be right here. Just make just a little hole that I'll be able to visually see. Okay? All right. So I can see that hole and I can see that one. I use this, I think this is a Mr. Somebody cleaning thing, but I use it in my craft room. So punch my hole on that one, and then find that hole again. Where the heck is that hole? Is it here? We better check it, because they're all starting to look alike. Yeah, that's the hole right here. Just didn't want to put an ink dot there. All right, so I've got a hole there and a hole there, and I've pre-cut my little circles. I'm using these. These are the oval ones that come in the kit, but I'm just going to keep them round. That way I don't have to do it by hand, right? And then I cut some backings for them so they'll be stronger, right? So I'm going to be gluing these together and then putting my little brads in. So you'll see me do that next. So less is more, huh? I don't know. More or less. So I haven't decided what kind of strings to put on my policy closures yet. This is a contender because I like that color. This one is a little bit too shabby chic for it, although I'm happy with the pink. And this is cool. This is sort of an off-white, and maybe if I antique it a little bit, it'll look cool. So I'm working on the insert on the back panel, and I'm going to do a big pocket so I can load some stuff in there. And I printed out and sized this digital so that it's a little bit less than the height, which is about 7 inches tall, and then a little bit less than 5.5 in width, so that it fits in here with ease and still closes with no bowing. I might even make it smaller so that some of the background here shows a little bit. I kind of like that effect. So the pocket is done by cutting another image exactly like this so that you end up with a disappearing pocket. So here it is. I've cut like a little notch on it, if you can see that. And the idea is that this one is glued down right about here and disappears into the background image. Now, granted, this is more effective if you have a really defined background picture instead of a collage like this, but I still like that feature and I'm going to go with it. Doing a little embellishing here. This is my pocket for the back page, and I think I'll make like a little belly band about here, so I'll have room for some of the smaller ephemera. There's some things like this that would be fun and probably fit no place else except at a mini belly band. So I'm going to put some this tacky stuff on it. It's kind of coming out kind of messy, but we'll make it work. Let's get some of that on there. I think that's enough. Let's find my lid, get that closed, and I'm going to put some lace on it. So it's so hard to tell what the right side is. I think this is the right side, and I think that I want it sort of like this. It's all right if it covers the whole thing up. Just press that on there. Then I'm going to be gluing it right about here to create the belly band. Let's cut off the excess. And let's trim this up a little bit. Almost perfect. That's what we're going for. We're going almost perfect. So, and it's going to fit right like that. I wanted to show you this before I start gluing. I'm working on the inside and decided to put something here on the inner doors. Certainly not needed, but what the heck, right? So we had this pretty digital, and I cut a slender piece off of it because I have 2.5 inches on each side to work with. So I'm going to do a pocket sort of like that in here. And then I had this, which was a pocket, but too fat, so I cut it down, and I'll put that one over here someplace. And then I took the bottoms of them. Here's the bottoms of them. And I'm going to switch it up. So I'll put this one over here someplace, maybe as a belly band. And then I'll put this one maybe as a layered pocket, you know, or 2 layered pockets like that. So my point is, in showing you, is that it's nice to get papers that are somewhat related to be more related by mixing them together. See how they look like they're associated now? That's the point. So I'll be gluing those down, and I chopped these with my scallop chomper. I'm not sure I'm sold on that. You know, I'm just infatuated with that punch, but I'm not sure I want those to look chomped on, but we'll see. Also, you would think you wouldn't have anything tiny enough to put in here, but I always seem to find stuff. My sister sent me this, and the hard part is looking through it and trying to figure what's in there. But I pulled out a few things that might work. Actually, one is like in Italian. This is actually a letter. That's turned out to be an article. It's hard to tell what they are till you pull them out. This is actually an invoice, but this could be inside there and be kind of cute, you know, because you want to use those up. You have them. Why not use them? So I've got either an ephemera idea or a pocket idea. And got these two goodies in the kit. I just trimmed this one with this by just putting it under and pulling it along till I got kind of this torn look. And then I added a little bit of this vintage photo to get rid of the white. Not even doing anything on the back because I'll fold it so that you don't see that. So I'm going to continue here and just get this one right sized and kind of more ragged on the edges than it is right now. And then when I'm done, I'm going to put a little of this on it. So I've got my little letters all cut and stamped up. I think 3 is enough. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to layer them to get the kind of, stacked effect that I'm going for. Kind of like a bundle effect that I'm going for. And I printed out this. I was going to use this envelope somewhere. This is in the kit. So maybe this would be a cool backdrop for this pocket. And I could kind of arrange these on this. I don't want to hide this one because I like the roses on that, but maybe I pull that to the side. Now I think this has more printing on it, doesn't it? So something like that. And then this guy here, maybe like that. Sort of casual. I have this scrap. I'm thinking maybe behind it, like that, or maybe even behind that. I do want that rose to peek out a little bit. And I have the rest of that scrap. Put some brown ink on it, and maybe that can go in here somewhere. I don't know, sort of like, I don't want it to dip too low because it'll take up too much room on my page. But something like that. I have this doily scrap. Maybe under here. Kind of let that hang out a little bit. Now, it's vintagey enough. And there's this piece. It's kind of big. I'm thinking maybe I'll trim this down and put it here. There's this piece, but I think that's too fat for it. I also have this stash of doilies that are awfully pretty. This one looks a little more Victorian than some of the others. Maybe it can, just a piece of it, like hang out somewhere. I don't know if it's getting too busy. I've got to have a cup of coffee and come back with a fresh mind. Just a little tip I wanted to share with you. I'm getting ready to glue down this feature, which is my stacked vintage letters, and I backed it with a pretty little envelope and stitched around it. So it's going to act like a pocket right here in this center panel. But as soon as I placed it down, I noticed that the envelope is crooked. If I even up this side, then this side comes over and almost kisses that. And that's because that envelope didn't start off completely rectangle, and that's my bad for not noticing it. Do I mind that? In this case, yes, I do. So what I did was rip it off the back. Yes, that's the ugliness of paper crafting. This is what it looks like. This is how it was pieced together. Because I'm not happy. Why should I live with that? I shouldn't have to live with that. So I don't want it to be just a tuck spot like this. I definitely want something on the back. So I have this scrap that I could use. It's a little bit colorful, and that could work. I have this back side, but that's a little bit safe. I have this that's a scrap from a feature in the other area that I used. I could cut this down and use it as my big pocket, but the colors are a little bit strong for right there, so I'm thinking I'm going to make another envelope and attach it. So my point in showing you this is a tip that I learned from Kathy Clement, and that's that it's just paper. Everything is changeable. She'll be in the middle of doing a front cover of one of her wonderful cards and forget that she'd made this little bow that was supposed to tuck in on the side, and she will literally lift up what she's done, hot glue and all, and jam that sucker in there and then push it back down. I've seen her do that lots of times, and that taught me that nothing's set in stone. It's just paper. If you want to change it, do it, and do it now.